welcome everybody to today's reading. We have 3 goats for you to choose from. The theme of this reading is going to be, what is it that you will come to like have wished you had known? So it's kind of like a futuristic thing. It would be like you in however long or at the end of your life or something like that. Like, what are the things that you wish that you had known? So group 1, we have the Pagan Tarot. Group 2, we have the New Era Element Tarot. And group 3, we have the Crow Tarot. So you can choose whichever pile you feel the most drawn to in whichever way that works for you. Some people get drawn into the colors, the symbols, the feel of a deck or something that it may represent, or even if there's like a deck that's not specifically aesthetically pleasing to you, there might just be something about it that you just can't look away from. So however that works for you, I realize some people like to meditate on how they choose their deck. Sometimes just taking a couple breaths to kind of anchor ourselves and I don't know, some people just like randomly pick one and go. Some people pick a number like 1, 2, or 3. So yeah, whatever that is for you, and we'll get started with group 1. Okay, welcome group 1. If you chose a Pagan Tarot, then this is your reading today on what it is that you will have wish you knew. And the first thing that I was kind of getting was something about like whoever these people are that you're dealing with, you just kind of need to stop. You need to like put them in the bin. You need to walk away from them or something like that. I don't know. I feel like if that doesn't resonate for you, that would just straight off the bat be something here that could help you discern whether this is your group or not. But whether it's a case that this is something that you just don't see, because I feel like you do see. I feel like you know. Some of you may have already been in the process of this. And so I kind of beg to ask the question, is it something that you wish that you knew when you were younger, as opposed to like, being into the future, which is kind of the energy I do get. But keep in mind, we do have people here that could be on like, sort of all parts of the timeline. So some people have already started this process. Other people are yet to kind of catch up to that and are only just working it out now. Or they're only like sort of, clearing out the first person that they've really had a drama with in some way. And, that's often kind of how it starts, right? It's like, if a person isn't treating us well or is pushing us or is hurtful in some way, they're the person that's going to go first if someone's going to go, like as in, just parting ways or getting on with life or reprioritizing other things, or I don't know, maybe have an argument. I'm not really sure. All it looks like, it's the end of it. It's like done with that cycle, done with that chapter, in the bin, no thank you, too much stress, too many problems, done. And I feel like the thing that you don't realize, or your younger self, or, whatever it is, even some of you, it could be like a message kind of from like the future of like, for you to know now, which I didn't really see that coming, but that's also part of the point of this message, is that I feel like these are things that we don't see coming, right? We don't realize what's happening. For each person that we allow to stay in our lives that doesn't treat us well, doesn't give us the decency of respect, they don't appreciate our time, or, it's not like reciprocal, or maybe they only show up when it's very convenient for them, or there's some sort of agenda to it or something like that. Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter what that looks like. Maybe this person just always has problems. Maybe they've got drama. I don't know. It doesn't even matter. The point is that these people, every time we allow one of these people to stay in our lives, they're taking up like a chunk of our time, our energy, our attention, like the mental load. Do you know what I mean? We only have one life. Why are we spending it with people that don't treat us well? Why are we spending it with people that make life hard for us, or just like cause stress and problems, or make us think too much? Like, we obviously have to be accountable for our own you know, ourselves, right? And the things that we do and our reaction to everything. And I understand, you know, there are people that are just kind of wired in such a way that they, like, you know, can overthink a lot of stuff. But there are times where people can act in such ways where it kind of causes confusion. It's like, did they mean it? Did they not mean it? Was that like on purpose, or was that kind of just accidentally, like innocently inconsiderate and things like that? So, and it's kind of, this is the thing. It's like, this is what feels like the theme of group one. It's taking out the trash, or you're at least clearing it up, or you're like, yeah, it's like you're going to make something very clear. I feel like you would have the ability to be concise. Whatever that's driven by for you will be different for everybody here. So you're probably going to call things out, and you're just going to make a decision. It's almost like you don't need to be so emotionally invested or wrapped up in thoughts, expectations, feelings, and loyalty and all those things. They're all really lovely and great when they're for the people that deserve it, okay? And so I feel like that's kind of the attitude that you guys have. You just get real matter of fact about it. You're not losing sleep over it. I feel, look, maybe you do. Maybe you do lose a bit of sleep over it, or maybe you do for a while, because it could be a bit of a transition, especially if most of the people in your life are kind of, they're all relationships that you're willing to kind of put in the can and move on from. But the point of this is that for each person that you allow to stay in your life that doesn't treat you well, or it just doesn't, I don't know, you know, it's like, even if they're not really doing anything wrong, but they're just kind of there taking up space, and they're not really, I don't know, maybe you guys just like hang out because you want company, but you don't really spark each other's fire or something. I don't know. Different things for different people. But it's like that stream of energy, attention. For some of you, I'm hearing income, and we literally have the Eight of Pentacles card here, which is actually, you know, like it can be a symbol of paid work at times. So like being a professional and fine-tuning skills and everything, like building in the world in a way that is of value and such that it gives back. There is a return on kind of, you know, work put in. And so there are literally people that I don't know if they're sucking you dry of like actual resources. Doesn't seem to be the case. It feels like energy or mental bandwidth. If these people are sucking you dry of your energy and mental bandwidth, it's energy and bandwidth you could have put towards like some sort of building a financial opportunity or a business or something like that. Even if it is just harnessing skills, it's like there's something that you do that I do feel like you do profess at. You actually are really good. Like you do have quality type work, or you are, I don't know if you're accredited or something, or if it's whatever it is. It doesn't even matter what the work is that you do, whether it's service or selling goods. It's just whatever it is that you do, you profess at it, or you could if you haven't so far, because it's like the time and the energy and attention hasn't been really put into it to kind of get it to where it is or would be. And this is like one of those things that like you would wish that you had known, you know, in those earlier times. Is how much these people are kind of taking from you. And even if it's not like physically taking something from you, it's like you don't realize the ways in which they rob you from the time that you could have spent putting towards things that build, that work for you, that begin to have a compounding effect over time. Okay, so I think that's the point of the message there. Okay, so what else would you wish that you knew? I think that this group, it is very relevant to say that you would wish that you knew how to protect yourself better. And it makes a lot of sense, right? There's a lot of relationships being canned here, and we don't always just can relationships for the fun of it, or for light reasons. And in saying that, I do feel like these people, some people could potentially actually have their business affected by these people. Again, just that whole mental, I'm getting the word anguish. So I was going to say like mental bandwidth, stress, anguish. So like, it's kind of like not being free, but it's like free, not being free of the mind, not being free of the expectations, not being free of the drama, not being free of the thinking, being, you know, if you have another person that you're kind of closer to in your life, and, you know, they have birthdays and occasions, and you spend time together catching up, and you like kind of pour into the relationship, or, you know, you think of things like their children's birthdays, and I don't know, it's like it's not just that you have a friend that you might see once every couple months and you just kind of let it go. You become with time mindful to their lives and whatnot, and you can kind of prioritize each other a little bit. So it's like you're not, yeah, I don't know. And then the thing is too is that I feel like these have been mostly people kind of closer, and it might not all be so close, but definitely a couple people in a closer sort of in a circle kind of thing. But there could be a lot of people just in general or in wider circles as well. So just feel like we're getting a little bit off track and I want to keep it moving. Okay, so I think for some of you, there's something here about actually having your energy kind of siphoned or stolen or something like that. And I can't tell if it's that thing of like, you know, that's just what you chose to spend your energy and time doing, was like pouring into people, or if it's a case that these people were like, in some ways, energetic vampires. And I know that not everyone does that intentionally necessarily, that there are people that can do it and they don't even know that they're doing it. And it's very like, they come by it unknowingly, right? So yeah, it's again just that reference. It's that reiteration of the reference of like pouring into things and what you give your time to. That is kind of that where attention goes, energy flows, and it kind of creates from that and builds forth from that. Okay, so I'm just going to take some more cards. I think to some degree, you would rather like fill that time with like, yeah, acquiring knowledge as per like, I do wonder for this group if some of you could have been people that were like the ones that you had the solution, you would fix the problems, like a problem solver-esque type energy, or you were just quite knowledgeable, or you were, you know, what's the opposite of like a gatekeeper, like you actually shared knowledge openly that would help people. And so I feel like in some ways you could have had the odd person kind of crop up to learn something from you or kind of use you for your knowledge in some way, which is, it's not always such a typical way in which we see people get you know, used or have agendas towards things like that. But I mean, maybe it's more prevalent than we realize, and it's just a little bit you know, it's not as, I don't know, it is tangible, but it's not like, it's not a physical object. It's not like a person saying like, a person is not asking you to buy something for them, but they're still wanting to know like your trade secrets or something. And it's funny too, because as we mentioned this, I can't remember what group it was in the last reading that I did, but there was mentions of intellectual property. And if you did want to go back and look at that reading, it is the very last reading before this one coming out. And under the timestamps in the description box, which is where I usually list them, I did actually like write a I did like a copy and paste of the Oxford Dictionary sort of short definition of what intellectual property is. So we could definitely have people here in the business world. I kind of get an energy of like high end or higher up, hierarchical kind of positions, or like you are the director of a company or something like that, or you've kind of got a very important position where you need to be making judgment calls. Yeah, I don't know. If this is for the people that resonate with that, even if it's only a very small few of you, you've got someone kind of trailing behind you that you've got like, it's, what is it? White ants, in Australia. What are they called? Termites. Termites. You've got people in the business under you that are kind of hollow. They're like looking like they're propping something up, but they really don't actually have anything to give at all. They'll kind of like eat out the structure from underneath you, like the bones of the company, and leave you kind of dry, hanging on a weak foundation. So just take that for what resonates, because I understand not everybody is like, you know, a CEO or something. So, and it doesn't have to be as big as a company. It could be a small business. I don't know. I'm just passing on a message. So, okay. Plans. Oh, this is such a weird message. I don't know if I really understand it. Hopefully it will just make sense to the people that it does. I just heard the word something about like plants for your funeral home. So, and not plans, but plants as in plants. like having plants for the funeral home or something like that. So I don't know if that means, if that's like, I don't know, something that somebody wants is like a certain type of plant during their like wake or service or something, that you should probably let somebody know so that they can actually do that. But anyway, but also for others of you, I feel like you just don't realize how much there's like a good energy that comes from keeping plants. Literally, like, I understand the scientific sides of things, as in like you know, the oxygen levels and the air quality and purification, and I think to a degree like good hormones that are kind of generated from seeing plants and things and having them around you. Energetically very grounding, very peaceful. But I just heard the word sentient being, so you know, for the right people that resonates with, just take that. But there's something here, I think, even if you don't now or didn't when you were younger, you'll come to find a type of peace or a type of wholesome kind of food for the soul or nutrition for the soul or something that you will gain just from having a few plants around, even if it's only a couple, right? Just in a place that you always see them or something. And it's for a lot of you, I feel like you could potentially come off in more of like a masculine energy, even if you are, you know, like consider yourself female. It doesn't really matter. But what I mean is that when you have this plant, or however many, plural, it is a chance, it's like the one time you may find yourself in a kind of soft nurturing role, even if it's not so soft. And I don't, the best way I could kind of explain that is that like men can be quite nurturing too, in kind of more of a strong way, but it's still very nutritious. So that's like the best kind of explanation that I'm getting there. Anyway, and there's something here that you will come to find the truth of many things, or like an overarching truth about, you know, situations that played out and maybe how people did potentially take from you or try to. I wonder for some of you if people kind of intentionally stressed you out, or I don't know if tormented you is a word that I was getting, or just wanted to create an air of anxiety for you or something. And that you will just have, hearing the word foreboding, clarity. I think that's right. That might not be the right word, but I think, yeah. Okay, so there's something here too where it's like, what is it? It's like you are the only person that has the ability to kind of provide that type of clarity to people. So one of the things that you may find that you come across is like, people will not always understand you. They'll try to tell you that you're wrong, or they'll just try to kind of circumvent a situation to not have to deal with you if you are the person that's actually going to call a spade and all of that. Like just work around you, if that makes sense. Or people will be quick to criticize you or kind of say how they could do it better and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is that I don't normally like to sort of put messages out there like this, but this is what I'm getting. They just don't understand it. They don't have the knowledge that you do. They don't have the experience that you do. They don't have the insight, the foresight. They don't have hindsight. I don't know, like whatever it is. I'm getting the word credentials. Some of them, they don't, like some of it is like a type of wisdom, maybe sure to a degree, to a small percent or something. But for a lot of you, it's like hard, cold, fact knowledge, and they don't understand it. I don't know if these people don't prize some type of intelligence or something. And I'm not out here to say, you know, I understand not everyone's goals in life are the same, and that's okay. But it's like, if they're going to criticize you and the things that you do and say, when you're actually, I feel like, quite a strong presence. I don't know, a strong leader, strong presence, depends on who you are, what you do, or what you will do or come to do in time, or what you've done in the past. It's like you are the person that bears the truth here, and you're kind of the only person in their life that may have done this. So there's sort of, I get the analogy of like a ripple effect here. So what I kind of see is there's a couple of things. The first thing is that the truth is not always so straightforward, okay? Two truths can coexist, or two truths can, you know, kind of, two things can be true at the same time, okay? Nuances, duplicity, duality, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the other thing is that when you are able to expose part of a truth, or like one truth, because I feel like you may do it at nuggets at a time, right, over a period of someone's life of knowing you, or you know, contributing interactions, or what is it, compiling interactions. It's like for each little truth that you kind of expose, there's like a ripple effect sent out, and all of a sudden it doesn't just hit this person, it hits like 30 plus people, and then it hits their 30 plus people, and you know, it just kind of ricochets out or whatever. It's like you were kind of purposely placed around the people that didn't know, and so it could kind of feel, some people may feel at times that you are disingenuous with your truth because it doesn't make sense to them and it doesn't add up or something like that. And it's kind of the message for you, what you wish that you would know, or you would have known earlier, is that when people kind of criticize the things that you say, or are quick to dismiss it or blow it off, or don't give it too much sort of weight or something like that, and you know that you can sort of see the higher octave of the situation, or you have, you know, an intelligence or an experience that's like quite concrete, whatever it is. It's not a personal thing. It is just very much how these people relate to the world, with who they are, or the experiences that they've encountered so far, and there's just not much you can do about it. And it's like, it shouldn't, some of you, the reason why I kind of touch on this is because I feel like it could have really knocked your self-confidence at times. And so even though I feel like you could be a bit of a boss in what you do, and you probably have confidence and grit in other areas, or like a kind of, maybe you have a type of self-assurement, but maybe when people that you thought you knew well, or thought understood you, or were on the same wavelengths, or you had like a high ideal in your mind of them, to some degree, maybe you thought you were like-minded, or maybe you had training or qualifications in the same type of things, or maybe you're both business owners or something. There's just something here where they just like haven't, it's just not relative to them in a way, and they just don't understand it. So it's kind of like, I think that's why people can come off nonchalant, if that makes sense, because they kind of are. They just, yeah, it's not a thing for them. But it's the point of this message is not for you to, don't let it kick you back too much or rock your ego. It's not a bad thing to be humbled at times and be modest, right? It's a bit of character building in the finest ways. But it's, don't let it rock you too much. That's kind of what you would wish that you would have known. Potentially. But I feel like regardless of whatever kind of happens or has happened, that you generally take things in your stride, and that in itself is such a great quality, and I feel like it's part of your success and what makes you you and who you are. So yeah, just take from that what you will. And so there's something here where, yeah, the truth is not always so straightforward, and people may lack nuance and, I don't know, just the ability to see straight themselves, right? Sometimes I don't think people realize, and even as a person who is a little bit more aware of the fact that people can do it, I feel like there's levels and layers to how filtered our view of the world can be, right? There's also something here about, I feel like your truth and clarity comes from a willpower, but there's also something here where it's like, let that be the thing that lifts you up to give you your confidence. Or it's like, even in the face of it, still be confident, or don't let it rock your confidence. So anyway, and there's something here too where it's kind of like, it's part of like your journey, it's part of your path, it's part of your purpose or something like that. I think I did say that you're purposely kind of put in the middle of people that might not already have that understanding, right? Okay. So even if you don't really resonate with being kind of spiritual person or intuitive person or something like that, we all have like a divine purpose, I guess, or many. Might just take a card from a different deck, actually. It feels like that's kind of empty. Okay. Okay, so this group, it could be builders, high achievers, networkers, or something like that. But I do feel like you become quite comfortable if you aren't already, and that one thing that you would have wished that you would have known in the earlier days, or sort of at the end of your life when you think back about your life, however that works out, is to kind of prioritize your peace and stability in a sense, because when you're able to do that, you're able to free up that bandwidth to such a degree that you're able to let new information come in quite freely and let thoughts and ideas flow freely, where you can kind of cross between like a mental like a learning was it like an intellectual, logical kind of hard sciencey type information crossover with like the creative aspects of life. And I feel like it's just like a lot of creative energy in a very, I don't know if it's even academic way or something like that. It's just, I feel like you would have such great, strong, bright, original ideas that are actually very on point. It would be like being a scientist leading their field or something like that. I feel like you would kind of define things, like you would be so enthusiastic and so free flowing, very onto it. It's the enthusiasm. Yeah. So it's like when we're able to just be comfortable and not have too many worries, we have a lot more mental capacity. And when we have that mental capacity, we're able to really let things come out that are struggling to kind of put words to it, but original thoughts and ideas, and we'll leave it there. Maybe theology, like theories? I don't know. Okay. Prototypes, I don't know. Anyway, and I think there's something here too about those that will kind of go the distance with you. You may not even kind of realize as the time goes by, but all of a sudden, 10 years will be gone and a couple of the same people will still be around, and that they were pretty good and that you did the time together. That there's probably a lot of prosperity that comes from those types of relationships, or they do help energize you in such a way that may keep you ambitious or looking for other things or something like that. It could be something like a networking opportunity. I feel like there's lots of business talk in this group for group 1 today. So whatever that looks like for you, even if it's not networking, it's just like tangible results, or it's like maybe part of it is that you can see how far you've come through the results of your actions over the longer course of time. Something that part of it could be being mindful and having gratitude for yourself or the people that do the distance with you throughout time. It's like, what am I trying to say? If you could stop for like, I don't know, I want to say 5 minutes to make it achievable for people, but I feel like the reality is it's probably more like 20 minutes. And you could sit down and you could think about all the things, where you were 12 months ago to where you are now, where you were 2 years ago to where you are now. And maybe do like a bit of a mental trip, whether that's backwards or forwards from the 12 months, whatever. And think about some of the obstacles that come up over that time. And, the fact that you did overcome them, and maybe what was kind of involved and how you may have felt like at times you were starting back at square one. But regardless of whatever the obstacles were that continued to arise, that you continue to overcome them and successfully overcome them too, right? And there's something here where you would have more gratitude for yourself and your journey and the things that you have overcome, and your strengths and your skill sets and your ability to, I don't know if there's something here about being agile. Maybe this group, you could be a little bit sharp or a little bit quick-witted. It's hard to say. There's lots of stuff here about intelligence today. So I feel like if that's something, maybe you would wish, I don't know, if you guys like self-doubt a lot in other areas of life as well, but you are quite intelligent or intellectual, you may have an affinity for intellectual subjects or something. So maybe that's something that you like downplayed or didn't recognize about yourself, or didn't have the esteem to kind of think of yourself as an intelligent or intellectually minded person or something. And for whatever reason, there's something here where, you know, you are able to just embrace who you are without judgment, through that comfort and security. And it's like being comfortable, just being yourself. And even if you aren't any of these things and don't have a business and are not studied or anything, it could just be that you're a person that really likes learning. You just have an affinity for learning and an enthusiasm for learning. And there's something here where I feel like it will kind of plant seeds over time. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to take a moment and see if there's anything else here that I could pull through for you guys for group 1. No. I'm just going to take another card. I do feel like for this group, I don't like predictive stuff, right? Because timelines can change and it's like a whole thing. But I'm getting the message that I feel like this group, you guys would live for a long time. Oh, we're going to take that, the Judge. I'm going to read from the book. I might try to read from the card first. I don't know if this is correct. I was getting the words like judge thy character, no one will. But I want to read from the book and just see. The Judge. Here we go. Okay. The Judge has had an incredibly important job. They work every waking hour of every day, helping us discern what is safe, true, and just. When this archetype remains unconscious or is captivated by fear, wise discernment turns into painful judgment of self and other. Ironically, the Judge's energy can be the seed of racism, bigotry, and fear-mongering. This is the Judge out of balance, building walls, separating from other, and when the same discerning force is made conscious and healed, however, the Judge may be found advocating for civil rights causes, standing up for the underdog, providing resources for those in need, and forgiving again and again. Love is the deciding factor. Awakening this archetype is essential for the complex times we are in. Get your Judge in order. The world needs it. It's actually so beautiful. Yeah. I do get the essence of like, you know, I guess you may have wished that you judge yourself less, you know, in those earlier days. But I think there's something here about other people judging us. And obviously it is a reflection more of something that they particularly judge or don't like within themselves, even if they don't appear to hold the same characteristics that they would like to point out. But there is an aspect where it's like one of the things that you would have wished that you had known was neutrality. There's probably more to neutrality than what you would give it credit for, or something like that. But it feels like an internal thing. So, yeah. I would say just take what resonates with that. I don't want to get too off track, but okay, that's everything that I have for you today, Group 1. Hopefully this was an interesting reading, and I'll see you all in another one. Take care. Okay, welcome group 2. If you chose a new era element tarot, then this will be your group reading today on the topic of what is it that you would have wished that you'd known like in the earlier days. And so you can think of this in, a few different ways. Like it could potentially be a futuristic thing, like towards the end of your life and kind of looking back over things as something that you'd wish that you'd known when you were younger. But everyone is on different points of the timeline here as well. So some of you, this could be something that, your future self would wish that you would know now. So like messages coming through from your future, which is really lovely. And for others of you, you may already be at a point where it's kind of some type of recognition or something of things that happened when you were younger that maybe you could connect the dots with a little bit more clearly now in terms of things that, maybe you did wish that you'd known earlier. So, and with that, we will move on. But I did start, as I was pulling the cards, getting a song. I will link it under the timestamp in the description box for group 2. And there's a meme, so I might even post the meme as well. But the song is something like, we can dance if you want to, we can leave your friends behind. But if they don't dance and they won't dance, well, they're no friends of mine. Something like that, right? And the meme is kind of like a Wiccan spin, and I don't know. Anyway, the whole thing that I was getting is that there are, I don't know, whether there's people that are going to like try to just offload all their burdens and responsibilities onto you, and they're just like, I don't want it, you do that job, like you do the shit type of work that I don't want to do, or like you go do the responsibility, or like, I don't know, you go be the person that talks to them because I don't want to, or it kind of gives me like, if there's a problem, they want you to deal with it so that they don't have to, or whatever. But the other thing is too, there's something here of like, other people may kind of, in a sense, trap you down with responsibility as well. So there may be people that just try to offload to you as you are passing by, but there may be people that see you actually as being quite strong, and that they would purposefully bring you into their life so that you could help carry their share like of the load, when in reality you have your own load to be carrying, let alone their load as well. And so I think it's something that will call for you to be discerning with over time, but it can be really hard to tell when almost most of our lives we have always been made to carry the load. Okay, so this could also equate to something like always having to be the bigger person, or just being a very responsible, or being a contributing member, or being the person that kind of carries the weight of the team in terms of like whether that's like a sport or a employment, like a work or something like that. So whatever resonates there. It could also lean towards being parentified and things like that. If you had a parental figure and there was other children and you were kind of, I don't know, it's either something like everything is always your fault, or, yes, it's part of your duty to help take care of younger siblings. And like, I don't want to get into like the itty bitties of like what is and isn't. It's not really another child's responsibility to take care of another child, but I understand that like, as a family, we all look after each other and do what we can. So I feel like it would not just be that simple. It would be very much like you were almost treated like a parent to a younger sibling or something like that. So just take what resonates there. Yeah. Okay. What have we got? All right. So specifically, the next thing that I'm getting is kind of like, I think this would have been in regards to the way that you showed up every day, the work that you put in over time, your level of commitment to things. So you could have been a person that you just, once you said you were going to do something, you did it. If you had something that you were working towards over this period of 2 years, you would stick to working over it. You would see things through, you would follow them through to the end, and you would get the job done. And I think that's one of those things that like, not only should you be prided on, like you should pride yourself on and be proud of yourself, but it was maybe one of those things that because it was something that was such like this, a great quality in you, and that you probably did pride yourself on, that I think people seeing that as a potential window of opportunity that they could really kind of capitalize on. And I feel like they did. And I feel like they did make you do more than your share of the work. Some of you, this would be quite, you may already really recognize this. You may already be aware and understanding, and you may have kind of lovingly or openly chose to continue to do it or take on things that were not really your problem anyway, because you wanted to kind of help in some way. And I feel like, I can't remember if I already said it in this reading or if it was in group one, but this group could also potentially be the people that had some type of practical, real world way of kind of solving the problems, or just put you, I don't know, do you know, it makes me think of people that are very organized, very accomplished, very task orientated or something like that. Or if there's a job that needs being done and one person's kind of stressing over it, or they're just mentally can't wrap their heads around how to do it or when to do it, or it seems overwhelming or something like that. And then another person just sees it very clearly. They come in, they take action, they get the job done. They know what they're doing, or they manage to wing it in such a way that it just like works out perfectly, and then it's kind of done and it's over, and then you like don't have to think about it anymore and you can move on. So yeah, it just, depending on you and your situation, because we have different people here. And so the next card that we have is Five of Pentacles. And so what I would say though, with this all having played out the way it is that I definitely think that this group, and it could potentially be a bit of a raw or a sore point or something for you, is that whether you were taken advantage of, which I feel like you definitely would have been at some point, in regards to this whole burden responsibility, sort of, you know, disproportionate, you know, divvying out of responsibilities and stuff. It's like, I feel like you wound up worse off. Like you wound up being the person that was not left with as many, I don't know, dividends of harvest or riches or something. Like it's like if we had a farm and there was 5 of us on the farm and we all got in and, you know, worked the farm and we got all the goods at the end, whatever you choose to do with it, whether you were like selling them off or keeping the fruits of your labor for yourselves and dividing it by 5 and handing it out. It's like, I feel like there would have been people that were like in the field eating an apple a day or an orange a day or something that was kind of outside of their share that the whole group was allowed to have. And it was like just kind of being sneaky, kind of like slowly like working their way, you know, I don't know, like already consuming some of the harvest or the goods along the way. Even if it was only a very small, minute amount, because they kind of just could get away with it because you were too busy with your head down butter doing the work. And so, and then it's like, unbeknownst to you, everyone at the end thinks they're getting 20%, but it's not really 20%. It's more like what would have been, I don't know, like 15% or something like that, whatever that works out to be. But, yeah, it's kind of like they're whittling profits, even if everyone still is getting a good proportionate amount. It's like there's a lack of honesty in getting you to do work and not really paying you your fair share of the load. So anyway, and so one of the things that you wish that you would have known is that there was probably, even if there was a lot of investment here, or this could have been something that you were potentially very emotionally kind of, I don't know, invested in. Yeah, it's like emotional investment or fulfillment or something. Like you could have really got a lot out of what you were doing, or even I feel like these people around could have still, maybe that was part of like the emotional investment. Maybe it almost makes me think of like potentially working with family or pouring into, if it's like having a business and like having a business partner, and it's like maybe you actually had a really good long-term friendship with them as well, and you didn't realize something like little bits and pieces were going, even if you weren't in business, even if it was just kind of like a friendship. It's just, I don't know why I'm feeling like this friendship stuff here. I feel like it's because of the cups, but I'm not seeing the friendship cards with what I had there. But even if it was as simple as a friendship, right, it's like, maybe every time you guys hung out, you were always the person that was like cooking for them or something like that. And I don't know. So, you know, when I kind of think of that concept, you could have had people that just like very conveniently would never have you over to their place for dinner. But I also feel like there's people on the other side of this too, where it's like maybe they weren't in a position to, or things just didn't work out that way. So there's also something to be said here about not overextending yourself. And I did make the mention before that even though there definitely feels like there are times where some of you are not aware of the ways in which people kind of, you know, use things to their advantage or something like that, like kind of capitalized on a situation for themselves. I do feel like there are probably more than likely a few times that would probably come to mind where something was put out in the open and it was honest, or it was like transparent or something like that, and you kind of made the decision to take the burden on yourself. And the thing is whatever the job is or responsibility. And the thing is, it probably was fine and turned out good. And you probably didn't mind doing it and you just like love doing things for other people. But there's something here where I really feel like you may have missed out on an opportunity for yourself. You may have given more than you had to give and you just didn't realize, or something like that. So it's kind of that thing of like, maybe this is a practice. One of the things that you would wish that you would have known is that maybe you could have said yes in smaller quantities. Like maybe you didn't have to take on the whole responsibility, but maybe you could have said, let me chip in here. And, you know, maybe if I've got more free time later, then maybe I could also chip in here. But you're not saying, yes, I will do it for you or something, you know, not just coming in and solving your problem. So anyway, yeah, so there's also that wish there, the wish that maybe some of you wish that you did walk away. So this could have really already happened. But it's like you wish that you knew that you had the ability to walk away. Maybe there was like a time where you had the thought or the feeling, or like, I don't know, the synchronicities for some of you, I feel like you're not even super spiritual. Like maybe it's not that you're not spiritual, but it's like you don't go too woo-woo or something like that. But there was like a time that you almost couldn't explain, like weird little things that could have just popped up that were almost like signs from the universe that it was like just not worth it, or don't do it or something. And you like continued on your path because you're just so dedicated. It's almost like being dedicated to a fault or something like that, right? That, yeah, you continued on, and it's like you wish that you had let yourself have the ability to walk away, even if it kind of might break your heart in the moment. You would have been left in a position where you weren't having to kind of fend for yourself or going without when other people kind of got to be very comfortable, okay? So, yeah. I do feel like this group could also have the potential to have been, say you work for somebody else, and instead of having your own business, and you were kind of like the workhorse or something like that. So it was like you maybe did a lot of the hard work or the labor or the point of sale or some, whatever that is. And it's like you're only getting like a minimal kind of wage or something like that to do the work for the business, and meanwhile they profit and capitalize on it, which is kind of similar to what I was getting before. But you're so reliable and you're so good at what you did. But I think there's something here too where it was like, what is it? I was going to say torment, but it's cruelty. So, I think that you guys were probably fine-tuning skills or something, thinking that you were getting somewhere, but when it came down to it, maybe a promotion wasn't kind of, there was a promised promotion that never came to fruition or something like that. So it's hard to say. Or maybe you could have worked on skills in other areas or something like that, but it just didn't get you the results that you were looking for or something. I'm not sure. I'm sorry, guys, because I feel like this group would be particular hard workers as well, but just take what resonates here and we'll move on. And so I do, in essence, get the feeling here that, I don't know, I'm not sure if other people kind of, I don't know if this experience could have left you feeling burnt by other people. Definitely a possibility, but I wonder if some of these other people, when they seen you kind of going without, you know, that little bit after things had played out, I wonder if they just kind of had a competitive energy where it was like, well, I've got mine, so they need to kind of get theirs, even though they may have been some of the people that kind of did well off the back of whatever work it was that you put in. So there is that. And I almost think too, whether you did walk away or you do walk away or you never did, and it's something that you wish you knew when you were, you know, younger or in the earlier stages here, that I think these people, if they actually had to do what you did, they would like be burnt out or something. Like they actually wouldn't be able to handle the load or something, or it would like leave them, I don't know, I'm getting the word melancholic, so it could leave them feeling very melancholic. I want to read this spread in a different way because I feel like there is a different message here. Therefore, like it's almost like there's could be a couple of groups here in group 2. And so one of them kind of pertains more to like a romantic relationship where one person could have actually, I don't know if they were like, oh, I just heard the word narcissist. I really don't like throwing words around like that, but it's literally the word that I got. I was going to say like controlling or like possessive or something, and that word flew through. And this person, you definitely, it also, a lot of the same stuff still applies. Like they could have really capitalized on you either. I don't know if you held down a job and they didn't. I'm not really sure that that would be the case. It could be for some. What I feel like it is that this person kind of had the environment set up so that you probably didn't have to really fend for yourself, but they still gained off some type of contribution that you put in. So even if you're in a relationship and that looks like you don't work but they work, but because you don't work you're expected to, you know, keep the house clean or something like that, and you actually put a lot of effort into like, you know, meal prep and cleaning and blah blah blah, something about it not being recognized, and at the end when the term of the relationship comes to an end, this person has continued to upskill themselves, work on their career, potentially still be that, you know, there's kind of a thing to be said for like whether you're in line or in running for a promotion versus just being out of work and beginning to have a continuating, I don't know what I'm trying to say, an ever-growing gap on your resume of time that you have spent out of the job market can sometimes be something that I think employers would look at and go, what's going on here or whatever. Anyway, and so it can allude to, you know, skill loss and all sorts of things. And so, yeah, it's like this person may have kind of given you enough to try to, I feel like they didn't want you leaving, if that is the case. So it's like they wanted to keep you controlled or in their possession in some way. And they still got a lot out of work that you did. There's still something that you contributed. So even if you weren't doing stuff around the house, I wonder if you like just had money or something and were all like kind of on the other side of that. So maybe they worked, but you had money so you didn't have to. And then, I don't know, I still feel like there's something here where it's like you somehow end up kind of having to go it alone or do it tough or something, or going without. It's like a strong energy of going without. So I wonder if this person kind of like, there is a potential here for touching on themes of like isolation and all that sort of stuff as well. So we're acknowledging it. We're here. There's lots of love and compassion. And, you know, there is that thing where it's like, yes, I wish that I had maybe loved myself more than this person or this situation enough to walk away, and that's okay as well. So, yeah. Okay, so with that being said, for those of you that like the crystals, smoky quartz or hematite could be good ones for you to work with during this time. And moving on. So I don't know if this person bore promises of fruits of their labor or something. And I don't know, it feels like a bit of an ego thing, and I don't really want to delve into it too deep because we're not really here for that type of reading today. It's just, if it comes up, we have to touch on it, okay? But I feel like even if you potentially feel like it may not have necessarily hardened you, but it may have almost made you step into an energy where, for some of you, I kind of get you know, this is not for everyone, so just take what resonates, you know. Some of you, it could have helped like harden you. It could have it helped you develop a bit more of like a backbone, or like kind of strengthened or stiffened it up or something like that. But for others of you, it's like, it's kind of like taught you to become a fighter. It's like, you know, Christina Aguilera has a song, I think it's literally called Fighter, and it's like, thanks for making me a fighter. So I might link that as well. Yeah, anyway, and then just being left with to deal with the burnout and recovery, and kind of working over you know, what happened and didn't happen, and processing. So anyway, okay. And I also want to say, so even if we do have two groups here, and there could be like, you know, people dealing with like the first sort of scenarios and the second scenarios, there are people here where some of this stuff will overlap and kind of blend together. So there's a whole bunch here. I feel like we're just going to take one more card and we're going to move on. So things that you wish that you knew back then, or like things that you wish that you would have known. I think you're probably wiser than you give yourself credit for, or you see things more. I don't know. It's weird, right? Because I feel like there's a lot here that you didn't see happening, but at the same time, maybe it's just that it's kind of giving you a type of wisdom. Yeah. Okay. What else? I think there may be some sort of fruits that you could have gained from a situation as well, where it's like, it just hardly seems worth even thinking of whatever the, you know, outcome was, part of the partial outcome, as even being fruits potentially, because of how much in a different area of life it could have kind of perceivably cost you. So in terms of, maybe you could have gone through a separation where you I don't know, maybe you did have some sort of like financial split or something like that, but then maybe you, I don't know, ended up with like poor mental health as a result. Or maybe it's like nothing to do with that. Maybe it's kind of something where it's like, you put all this work in for an employer, and maybe you never got the fruition of a promotion with them or a pay rise or something, but maybe you then had the ability to kind of, you had all the skills and knowledge, and you actually understood from a higher perspective of how to run a bigger business, and then you really had a wealth of knowledge or a wealth of skill sets that you may not have developed working on your own necessarily, or it would have taken you longer or something like that. So there is kind of, in essence, there's like things that, yeah, at the time that you left the employer, you would have felt burnt for sure, because everything that you put into it and whatnot. But there is, in a different way, you know, there are some things here that you did gain from it, even if you couldn't quite see the results at the time. So whether this has played out for you yet or not, it's just one of those things that you would have wished that you'd known, is that it's not like a total loss, even if it is excruciatingly painful during the time. There's like still something here to really be gained from the situation. Or it's, you know, sometimes like energy is such a weird thing, and like you know, when you sort of get into more of that side of life where you're kind of blending the world, like the reality of like the 3D world and everything, with like the energetic kind of side of stuff on the other side of the veil, and things start to blend together. And it almost is like a type of currency where it's like, well, I don't like this side of my life, but I really like this side of my life. And so all of a sudden spirit starts taking from this side of your life that you don't really like, and it starts pouring it into this other side of life that you do like. And then it's like you've experienced this great loss of just because that thing wasn't something that you really like. Maybe there was sort of part of it that you didn't like, or something about it, and it's like spirit's helping you by taking it away, but maybe to you would have rather have it there and just have it be better or something like that. And so it also does speak to which seems to have been a message in group 1 as well, as like where attention goes, energy flows, in terms of manifestation, but also it speaks volumes to the gratitude for the things that we have in our lives, because maybe you didn't have gratitude for that relationship that you're in for whatever reason, but maybe you had gratitude for a business side of your life or something. So yeah, I'll just leave that with whatever resonates. But we've got a couple of other cards here that we did pull as well. So we have the Healer and the Castle. I just want to take a moment here and see what else may come in. One of the things is that that you would have wished that you would have known is there's people paying attention to you. There's people watching you closely. There is too many people paying attention to what you were doing. I feel like there's someone in particular that probably kept tabs on you. And I just feel like it was a thing where they were just trying to, they always wanted to know what you're up to or something like that. And it's a bit weird to me because it kind of starts delving back into an energy that I don't want to go into. But it is like some of these people, I don't know. I don't really understand it right. It's like, could have been people that kind of wanted to ride your coattails or benefit from your labor, which we talked about before. It's like they would have just been hanging around for when times got good or something. It's like they were half in always. So they were never really like a super committed friend that prioritized you or anything. And in hard times, they maybe weren't around so much or something, but maybe they just kept their foot in the door just enough that if things got good, they could kind of like come around and be like, oh, we've been friends for so long and we've had this like long standing relationship, and they can kind of like fill it with all these whimsical, nonsensical, I don't know, it's weird words I'm getting, all these like thoughts and stuff that weren't really there, but they can kind of just say the things that sound nice to make you feel good so that they can kind of like get in on sharing your part of the bounty or something weird like that. But there's also something here too that like, I don't know if you're necessarily like a private person, but they're wanting to be in the circle. They don't want to be on the outside. But I'll just see if there's anything else here that I can take from these. I'm just hearing superficial charm as well. So like, yeah, these people definitely could have used a lot of superficial charm. So I think that would have been one of the things that you would have, you wish that you would have known, is there's something here about seeing things for what they really are and not kind of falling for people's charm, which I think can be really hard if you really want the thing to be true. But it's, just because we want it to be true, and it would be really nice and maybe it would hurt our egos if it wasn't true or something. It doesn't mean that it isn't, or I don't know, like it's, getting reality mixed up with kind of fantasy or distraction or something like that. And I think what you would have wished that you would have known is that you were so much better than you probably gave yourself credit for. And if you realized, if you loved yourself a bit more, or seen how good you were, or there's something here about like you appreciating you. Like it's like, how do you give yourself self-worth? You actually look at how the honest reality of how good you are. You're not out there trying to people please. You're not trying to prove how useful you are. You're not trying to take on the load for people or problem solve for people. You're not out there like kind of, I don't know, you're not taking on more than your share and stuff. Like you don't have to be valuable in this world. It's not your job to do everybody else's work, and it's, that sort of stuff. Like you have inherent value because you walk this earth, whether you agree with that statement across all of humanity or not. And so, yeah, I do feel like it would have been hard for this group to get a baseline level of security though. So I understand maybe where a lot of that could come from. But there's something here too where like, I feel like whoever these people were, I don't know if what they were kind of eating away at was a sense of security for you, as in, I don't know if that was their like intention, was to kind of make you feel insecure in some way. even if it was like not like some of them it could have been intentionally trying to make you feel insecure. Some of them it could have been eating towards resources that would have been contributed towards your financial security, or like, you know, having a home or something like that. It's hard to say. So some of these people could have just like, maybe you knew that some of them didn't have the best intentions, but you're kind of forced into the same environment, like a workplace or something. You just kind of had to do with what you could. And so while you're in that environment, you never really feel settled because you know that these types of people are around as well, right? And maybe where they operate is in superficial charm. But there's also something here too with you, with one of the things that you wish that you would have known is that you could have, to a degree, kind of played up to a type of superficial charm. And it's like when you're in this environment and you're forced to contend with these people in a way that is beneficial for the group's goal overall, like a workplace. And I don't know, maybe you all have to work together every day. Maybe you are a team, maybe you have KPIs or something, whatever that looks like, it doesn't matter. That you kind of, to a degree, you know, you can keep to yourself as much as you can. But if you're with a group of people every day, you do at different times have to talk to each other, and you do at different times have to spend time together. And so there's something here where it's like you almost, I'm not saying that you guys were necessarily, it's not like, what is it? I don't feel like you were necessarily being disingenuous, but I feel like it's something that it's like you may have just turned the charm on, or turned on the small talk or the happy face when you weren't, or just kind of, you know, having conversation with them, even if it was like not your, I want to say highest octave, highest foundation, highest authenticity or something like that. So whatever that is, yeah. I feel like for some of you, the thing that people wanted from you was your beauty or something like that as well. And this is something that I get come through a bit in some of my readings. So definitely people potentially wanting you for the wrong reasons, or having you around for the wrong reasons or something, and just to do with like looks. Yeah. Some of them it's like the idea of you or what you represented, or it could be something like you being seen as like a prize or something like that. And because of that, it's like people wanted to have you around, because it's like if they had you, then it's like, well, you know, how good must they be because they have you around. So yeah. It's almost like, yeah, group 2, I feel like you're a pearl. And I think for some of these people, one of the things that you probably wish that you knew was that they could never steal your beauty. They could never steal. It's like there's something here where they could never actually take from you this, like whatever this is about you, or this part of you, or it's like something so innate to you that it is the reason, like what they think they can take from you is just naturally part of who you are. It is why you are who you are, because it is you, if that makes sense. So yeah. Okay, group 2, that's everything that I have for you for this reading for today. Hopefully this was an interesting one for you, or helpful in some way, and I'll see you all in another one. Take care. Welcome group 3. If you chose the Crow Tarot, then this will be your reading on what it is that you wish that you would have known. So I feel like this group would be the group where if there is any sort of influencers, content producers, you could potentially be like spiritual leaders or, working in some sort of like new age type-esque industry or something. I feel like this is people that you put something out to the world that people can see or experience, and they are able to do it anonymously or without kind of being seen, and they would really benefit from what it is that you put out, but they would never let you know. And so I do feel for some of these people, they are people that are probably on the outside. Some of them could be people that you have like knowingly come into disagreements with or distance yourself from or had some sort of falling out with. You could be just in no contact or something like that. And so it's like, and I'm sure I kind of get an energy, not all of them, but I'm sure there is like the odd one there, what I feel that maybe might pick apart like what it is that you do, or like criticize it to the odd maybe someone in their sort of daily life or something like that. But they still watch your content and they still get a lot out of it and they really love it. They would never, promote or advocate for it, pass it on, because they don't want other people to know how good you are. And it doesn't go for all of them, but there's a lot of them that it really does, okay? So just take what resonates there. I feel like this would be the group that it's like, if you know, you know. If it's not something that you are kind of privy to, if it's not something you're like that is happening for you, it's like you're either not, or like it either hasn't happened yet or you're not privy to it yet or something like that. And so I feel like for this group that if you weren't currently experiencing this, you would come into knowing somehow, even if it is intuitively knowing, anywhere up to the next 6 to 8 months. Yeah. And that is not from the time that I've necessarily like put this video out, but from the time that you have come across this video, as it is timeless. So that being said, it's like someone I feel like has been inspired by you've got people inspired, and I don't just think it's one, I think it's many, and I think they're like it's changing their lives or rocking their world in some way. And I think it has a reflective type quality to it, or like there's something about it that makes people step into like a reflective energy within themselves in their own world, and they see like a type of fulfillment in it. It's like they see how beneficial it is for them and for so many people, and how they would love to be part of it. And they may be on their spiritual path or something very much, but they also could be maybe they are just starting out or have not long had an awakening, or maybe it's not that at all. Maybe they've been on their path for a little while and they just haven't really been living in alignment or something. And so they're kind of seeing the value, they're being inspired, and they're seeing the value in this like emotional fulfillment or this reflective quality, whatever this is. And they could at times get in their head, and they probably need a little bit of grounding or something like that. But I don't know. I kind of, when I start doing readings like this, where I feel like we could equally have cross watchers as much as we have the audience here that is viewing this reading, I feel like that's who I'm speaking to. I'm all too aware at times where we do have people on the other side of the coin that are kind of cross watching, or they come into this reading and it is still for them, but they're kind of on the other side of like, what's actually coming through. So it's like the flip the energy type of situation. So I'll leave that up to you to work out what side of it you're on, and we will move forward. So for some of you, I want to say that these people are just jealous that they can't seem to kind of like mentally gain clarity or work through this on how they could come to achieve something like this, or get started, or stop procrastinating on doing something similar to what it is that you do. And there's like this call here, because I think for this group, it's like you will leave a wake of these types of situations or people. Yeah, it's like you leave these situations or people, like a number of them, in your wake. It's like you just keep moving, and you keep moving forward positively, or not giving it too much mind or anything. You're kind of working out what direction you're going to go in as you go. And you probably do find yourself around people that are actually quite fulfilling or like-minded. It's just like these people see you as a person with an abundance of choice here. It's like, well, they could do anything. And it's like, if I could be in with them, then I could do anything as well. And then all I would have to do is just like, you know, kind of wait for my time or something like that. And so I do want to say, for a lot of you now, the further that we get through this, it's like, what is it that you wish that you would have known? Is that you could do this on your own, and that you don't need to. It's beautiful to be inspired and have other people become a catalyst in our lives, so that we can kind of follow on from their example, or learn something from them, or, you know, let their creations or what they put out into the world become like a muse to us, or something like that. And to show us that we don't need to be perfect in what it is that we do, and that we can just kind of take the steps and do what you can to get out of your head and do something practical to work towards the situation, building whatever it is that you want to. You can just move forward. You don't, I don't know, maybe you have to lean on supportive people when you do it. Maybe you don't know how to do it, and you just do the best you can, and then, you know, maybe wait and see what happens. But it's like, yeah, I do feel like there is some sort of mention here that it's like giving props to the people that do inspire you, or something like that. So just take what resonates there. But again, if you're, so I feel like we kind of jumped into the other energy just there. But like, if you are this person that whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's like some sort of creative, or I don't know, primal, or even very, I don't know, it's like hard hitting or effective. I don't know if it's like entrepreneurial, or I don't know if it's kind of out there, but it's not out there in a way of like being necessarily like weird or different, but it's kind of out there as in it packs a punch. It's like, I don't know, it could be innovative, but I feel like it's really creative, or it's really inspiring. It's very inspiring. This could really spark people's passion. It could be your passion, right? And it is like coming from this kind of background of like emotionally reflective process that you go through. And so one of the things that you wish you would have known is to kind of, it's that same thing of like stepping into taking the practical steps, not needing to be perfect, or not needing to kind of think everything to death before you do take any sort of step, and trusting that you will just work it out as you go, and that you can still come up with something totally beautiful, totally quality. And yeah, I feel for some of you, if you are, you know, in this, you are this person that's like putting something out to the world that's very beautiful and inspiring, and you're kind of having to get beside yourself is one thing, to actually do the thing practically, like ground it, bring it down to earth, that you could be dealing with people trying to tear you down in a very quiet way. And this could just look like, you know, whispers of doubt, or are you sure you should do it that way, or something like that, or, you know, just like little comments. And I don't know if they do it intentionally or not. I feel like there's, you know, if there's at least two of them here, one of them at least is intentional, while another may just be kind of how they naturally, you know, navigate the world themselves with their own level of judgment towards themselves that they kind of project upon everybody else around them. And it's like, they don't mean to do it, but they're just not very aware. They're not, yeah. And so one of the things that you wish you would have known is that if you could just move forward from whatever distractions there were, or people pulling on your energy, or, you know, those quiet tear down moments, and or getting in your own head and not being able to kind of move forward. It's like that, just pushing forward to better times, or pushing forward to like, sometimes when we get stuck in all the muck and the things that happen in life, yep, there's a lot to be said for processing. There's a lot to be said for just being in it and just dealing with what you've got there and accepting the situation for what it is, because you can't do anything about it anyway, right? Unless you can, then I guess you would be doing it. But it's like, I don't know, sometimes life just gets shit and all you can do is just kind of try to move forward, right? And there is like a better day ahead, and you probably would find it's like, I don't know. I think for some of you, maybe let previous situations hold you back. And it's like, one of the things that you wish you would have known is that you could just move forward, and there would be like good times again, or good people around again, or there's future good relationships around. I don't know. Maybe there's something here where it's like, whatever it is that you do draws in other people like you. I don't know. I'm getting something about when your back's against the wall. And you feel like you've made it all come undone. Look forward. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just going to take a moment and see if I can get anything else come through, or if we should pull more cards on this. Yeah, see if we have anything else here for group 3. I apologize if I said group 2 during this reading, because I actually can't remember. It's definitely group 3 though. I heard like, anything you can do, I can do better. So it's just like, there's always going to be people around that are kind of competitive with you, or trying to outdo you in some way. And I don't know, for some of you, it's like, maybe you are this person that was competitive. And I don't know, I don't really get that energy so much for group 3, but I mean, yeah. Okay, I'm just going to take another card. I feel like I'm not getting too much with that. I feel like the energy is a little bit distorted too, though, because it's kind of like people's ego potentially interfering with the message coming through, as opposed, yeah, which is, it's really hard, because then it becomes, we kind of step into this like awkward position of, it's like, one of the things that you wish you would have known is that maybe your ego could potentially have, you know, a great deal more effect on you than what you would probably realize, or maybe you do realize, but you just can't help it or something. And it's really hard dealing with the ego, right? It's really hard kind of getting a grapple or a hold on that and pulling it into check, and sometimes being neutral and just accepting reality and things for what they are. And especially because it's like, we're human, we're meant to have ego, right? Or we wouldn't have been given it. And there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of ego. It's quite healthy. It's just, it can be very deluding or disillusioning, or when we let our ego get the better of ourselves. It's like, sometimes situations don't need to mean as much as we kind of give them credit for, or I don't know. So that, yeah, I don't know, maybe something here about the ego for group 3 to work on, but it could also just be the people that you're dealing with. Maybe it's one of the things that you wish you'd known, is that people are living so much more in your ego than you really even realize that they are. Maybe because you know, might not be, doesn't mean that other people are as realized as you are. And that can kind of be a bit of a hard truth as well. Yeah, I'm starting to get goosebumps with that, so Okay, so we have the king, the mountain. I just heard I'm the king of the mountain. We have the animal in Eros. Okay. I just heard, I was looking at the animal card. What is it that she wants from you? And I heard they want to take everything. Oh, man. Just go home. Oh, dude. You just... It's not funny, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, why? The first thing I'm hearing when I look at the king card is they're not as important as they think they are. So I do feel like that's part of that kind of ego thing, or being self-centric. I don't know if that's a word. I kind of feel like I want to cry now. Okay, so if you're on the other side of this, and it's like you are the person really dealing with your ego here, and I kind of want to call out both sides, because just as much as we can live in a lot of neutrality, we can also kind of build up a bit of an ego about having the ability to live in neutrality. Okay, and it can kind of catch us out when we're not really paying attention or something. So, but grappling with the ego can be a hard thing, especially if it's like the first time that you've really kind of become aware of its effects. And it's one thing when it first happens, but it's a whole nother thing the further you get down the timeline, and you can kind of realize, you start to kind of almost join dots to dots, like in your mind, of all the times in your life where you can look back, and it might just be that random thought that crops up every couple weeks, and it's like, oh, here's another one of like those times where you could potentially criticize yourself or beat yourself up or be embarrassed or have shame, whatever the emotion or feeling is attached to that, out of judgment or fear, that maybe there was a lot of times where we did act out of ego. And you can see how it's not necessarily one of those things where it's like, ego is not, it can drive people to kind of do crazy things in terms of taking things out on other people or being a bit manipulative and whatnot. There's all sorts of ways that can kind of manifest or show up, but it's like the ego itself is quite innocent to being human. Like it's fundamentally one of those things where it's like I don't know. What are we trying to say, Spirit? Spirit's really, they're just getting the words that it's not all about you. So what I would say for that, because I feel like we're not getting anywhere with what I was trying to say before. When they say that it's not all about you, it could be a case where, sometimes when we live in such like fear of judgment, or like what will people think, or or whatever it is, trying to make ourselves presentable or likable or something like that. Understand that part won't resonate with everybody. Whatever, there's so many different ways we can build an ego up, but like it's still, we think it's about other people, but it's still really about ourselves, because we want to be liked, or like we want to yeah. Okay, they're telling me we need like another example. So if it's not all about you, I'm just hearing the words, there are other things, other people in life that do great things as well. So I definitely have people coming in on both sides of this message. So it's apologies if it's not seeming real straightforward. Hopefully you guys can kind of work out between the two sides what's for either of you. But, I trust that you guys can. Spirit trusts that you guys can. So it kind of gives me an energy of like everybody has their day in the sun. Everybody has their moment kind of thing. And you have to actually get okay with other people having their moment. And like just because someone wins one day doesn't mean that you won't win in 20 days. Do you know what I mean? Like we all just take turns in our moment to win. Just because someone wins one day, one time ever, doesn't mean that you like don't ever get to win, or they're not taking something from you. It's, you know, it might be disheartening. Like maybe you really wanted to win. Maybe you really wanted to be the best at that thing because it meant so much to you. I don't know. Maybe it was very disheartening because you worked really hard, or you put a lot of time and effort into it, or like maybe you seen how much love people got from it, or maybe, I don't know, it doesn't even matter what it is they got, whether they got like time, attention, notoriety. Maybe people like cared about them or something, but you've also got to realize like that not all of what they receive is necessarily very authentic either, in that if you're in that position of sometimes being the winner, that you're going to be surrounded with people that are also not always so authentic with you. And it's kind of it feels like a very duplicitous message to give, because I am very aware that you could be the person that would also be potentially, you know, spending time around people that are winners because you feel like it may shine a little bit of light on how great you are if you are with them. I feel like I'm not getting to the point of this message. I feel like we've got to do better or get more. Like what spirit do the people in group 3 need to, what is it that they wish that they would have known about themselves? I'm just hearing not everything is a competition. Okay, what else do we have? Not everything is a competition. Not everything is about you. And just hearing you need to focus on yourselves. I'm just hearing you just need to look at yourselves and start building from within, like brick by brick within. And so it's like, I don't know, it feel, you know, those messages are pretty like self-explanatory, and I don't know, I feel like it could be like a bit of a hard message or something here, but there is something to be said about it, that like when we can't be happy for other people and then we finally have our day in the sun or our day of winning, that it could be a little bit isolating if we, you know, didn't have the ability to be happy for other people, because then it's like, did anyone make the journey with you? Was the win worth sharing with anyone if you had no one in your corner because you somehow were so unhappy about the day they had their win? I don't know. I feel like we're just getting too lost in the sauce, and I don't want to keep like banging on a dead horse, because I feel like for some of the people in this group, it's probably already quite raw, right? So, for some of you, I feel like I'm getting the message that you may have thought that, you know, whatever this is that this other person may have or does or won or, I don't know, like somehow gained or whatever, it's like you actually thought it was yours. So it's like you may feel like you've been cheated out of a situation. Like you feel like someone has taken something that was yours as if you already had it, or I don't know, like it was something, it was something that could have actually been taken. But I don't feel like whatever this person's success or achievement or win, or, you know, if this person is doing something that is very inspiring or, you know, is very creative, or you can see it sparks an aliveness or a ferocity or a passion in other people, whatever it is, it's like, I can't say that it's something that they took from you. It's like you just seen it, you wanted it, and then it was like, because it exists and you wanted it, should be yours, and it's not really how it works. And Spirit's saying it's not how it works at all. I just heard a saying that says like blue eyes hide lies. Obviously realize not everyone that has blue eyes does that, but it's like something to be said here about like, I don't know if you are like putting forth like an innocent face or an unknowing face or something like that to the world, to like whether you're hiding an agenda or an intelligence or a goal or a knowing, something like that. It's like maybe you're just hiding the fact that you were ambitious or wanted some sort of outcome for yourself, or maybe it's like hard trying to hide the ego or the wanting that position, or the fact that it is something that you actually struggle with. Yeah, Spirit saying nail on the head. So for some of you, it's like less about whatever this like perceivable thing is that you want to obtain for yourselves. And it's more about the fact that it's like something that you struggle with is what you feel like you need to hide. And I just asked Spirit, like, what is it that we can help group 3 with? And they're saying nothing. It's something that group 3 kind of needs to help themselves with, or kind of work out themselves. So it's like I don't know if you come to, I would assume a lot of the people may have already clicked off this reading. If you're still with me, kudos, right? And this is how you this is how you make a change. And it's you will realize that it's not something that can just be kind of bypassed or taken from another person. Whatever this thing is that you're wanting, the only way that you can get it is like to go within. The thing that's wild to me is that I think that you guys are beautiful and you don't know it. Like, I think you embody similar qualities, but you won't like go inwards, or you won't, it's like you're too focused on what other people have instead of what you have. And I know that can be hard to hear when we really are in a position that we don't have a lot, right? You could be like, what do I actually have? Let's start counting. Like, do we need to get a piece of paper and a pen and sit down and start writing the things that we have? Do we need to be like, yeah, I have a roof over my head. Maybe I don't own it. Maybe I don't live with people I don't like. It doesn't matter. I have shelter. Like, maybe it's clean. That's sort of half, you know, maybe it's not even about it being clean. Maybe I have shelter that's secure, that no one can break into. Maybe the plumbing's not the best, but like we still have a toilet, you know. I don't know where you start out at. Maybe you work your way up from there. Maybe I have clean, secure shelter that I don't have to live with anyone else. Maybe I don't have to think about the rent. Maybe, you know, we're all going to exist in different points of this. Maybe it's not about that, but like it's like gratitude from the ground up, even when we've got nothing. And I used to hate getting messages about like, you know, intuitive messages about gratitude when I was really at the points where I was like, I just don't understand how I could have gratitude for my situation. Do you know what happened? Things got so bad that I had to have gratitude for the fact that it wasn't worse. And it was literally that black and white. And I don't know, even that in itself seems pretty like raw, depending what end of this you're on, okay? Because for some, like, you know, again, that message for what we get come through quite often is that you could be on either end of the scale here. This really could be hard hitting, intense for you. For others of you, it's like maybe you are kind of aware of this and you understand it and you're right within it, or accepting within yourself enough that it's like, yeah, it's a bit of a thing. Maybe there is a sore point, but we're working on it and we'll get there in time, okay? So I don't know. I feel like I'm going to take a moment to try to cleanse up the energy here a little bit and just see if I can get something else here, because I'm not really sure if I'm ready to let this go or not. And I can't tell if it's more of a reflective quality of the energy coming through. It's like one of the things that maybe that you wish that you'd known is that there was something that you weren't ready to let go of. And I've talked a lot about acceptance in this group. I'm just hearing like take your time and take care of yourselves. So it's like it's not going to be helpful to you to just like expect to wake up and be a new person tomorrow, right? And it's not all about like coming, you know, some of the things that come out in the reading sometimes they can be pretty brutal, and it's like it kind of takes like a certain type of like you know, a wanting to do better, but also like acknowledging that we can have like an emotional fragility, or, you know, what is it, like you need a certain level of capacity to deal with some of this stuff, okay? And so it's like you're here, you're doing what you can. It's not going to happen overnight. You just do the best that you can when you can. and just move forward. Yeah, and I think like it's, you know, the more I talk about it, it's kind of gone from like feeling like I've been getting this like kind of sick feeling come through in some of the readings sometimes, where it's like almost makes me feel sick in my guts, like something's not right, or people have bad intentions or something, and it kind of comes all the way up through to the throat chakra, and I almost feel like I want to be sick out of my throat chakra and speaking about whatever it is. And so for some of you, you may feel sick thinking about or sitting with the feelings of things that you've done, or it's like a shame. Do you know, that's what it is? It's a shame. You may feel sick from feeling shame for the way that you've shown up in your life at different times. And it feels like unprocessed grief. So maybe there's something here linking between like something that really was taken from you or that was lost, that you didn't get to actually grieve properly when it happened. Maybe you had extenuating circumstances. And so it's like whatever that thing was that was taken from you, and I feel like unrightfully or, you know, unfairly or something like that. It's like, because it's not processed, there's some part of you that's still trying to get that thing, but it's like kind of misplaced. And I still feel sick trying to talk about it. I almost feel like I want to vomit, and I'm still, you know, some of this stuff, it's like, you know, some of this stuff has been through and through and true to me since like I've been experiencing clairsentience and whatnot, but others of it, it's like, you know, I experience new things all the time. And so what are we saying? We're talking about is guilt as well. So it's like guilt, shame, feeling sick, unprocessed grief, not wanting to acknowledge maybe the things that were taken off us, or maybe that it was unfair. I get it. What else do we have here for group 3? I feel like it's like we're going somewhere and we kind of have to like stop, start, or it slows down. And I don't know if it's just because you guys it's a hard message and we're trying to keep up with it as it comes out, so that we're still kind of taking it in a meaningful way that's helpful to us. Okay, what else do we have for group 3? So for this group, crystals that could be helpful: rhodonite and smoky quartz. I'm just hearing like sitting with the emotions and dealing with the unprocessed grief. I feel like for some people in this group, you may have been played off against other people. And so that's something, I don't know. Yeah, this part of the message could go for both sides, right, as well, because you could be in the person playing people off, but it kind of stems from like an earlier time when someone kind of did that to you, but you could have people here on the receiving end of being played off against other people. And it's like your ideals may change over time. So it's like you may think that you want this like physical thing, or this, I don't know, like a type of beauty or something that, I don't know, what is it? Like you think someone has the gift of the gab or some sort of special ability or something. And then, you know, the more that we work through this and you're kind of realizing things, it's like there's a point of elevation or a changing of frequencies where maybe it's okay to be yourself and you can see some of the good qualities that you have, and it feels a little bit isolating or something. It could make you feel vulnerable, and you could realize that if you do this, then it's like, I don't know. I still feel a bit sick. Like I still feel like I might want to vomit. I don't know if it's like a grief or a nervousness, whatever that is, may resonate for somebody, but it's very strong. I'm just hearing they don't need to do any more. They've done enough. So I don't know if there was like processing during this reading, or if there's like, this could have been one of those things that like you wish you knew when you were younger. And so it's like maybe you're having to deal with the reality of some of the parts of your journey that have got you to where you are now. So you may have already actually made amends with a lot of this, and some of this could be like a type of validation for you, for things that you've had to come up out of, or kind of things that you may struggle with in the day-to-day or general life or something like that. And so I'm getting a message here, something about like keeping your eye on the prize. And so that's not like the eye on the prize as in like taking something from someone else, but like creating that for yourself. Like if you have to climb the mountain, like you put it this way, if someone else climbs a mountain and they get like a gold medal for climbing the mountain, that gold medal is not necessarily yours because it exists because someone else has a gold medal. What it means is that they want you to keep your eye on the prize. You go and climb the mountain. You like do things leading up to it to become physically fit enough, and prepare so that when you go to climb the mountain that you can come first too, or like you can go to gold medal, or you can just climb the mountain and be like able to say, I climbed the mountain, and you know that you did it yourself. And it's so like, it's so honest, and it's like part of the real prize here. And then it's like there's something here that I think that you guys could actually pass on to other people when you're able to do this, or you know, when you've achieved it, where it's like, I kind of get it in essence as part of the key, but like a pearl of wisdom or something as well. So it's kind of like maybe this group has overcome something to do with the root chakra in terms of like security and whatnot, or footing, or equal ground, or I don't know, maybe you had to fend for yourself in a way that you probably shouldn't have. I don't know. Maybe it was like people you've been transgressed against, or that thing of like being competed, someone else competing you against someone else or something like that. And so it was like, you know, and I feel sick again. You have like that knowledge or the experience, like the lived experience, to pass on to people. And it's like a pearl of wisdom when you pass it on. And that's probably you living in more of your aligned path here than trying to, you know, seeing or desiring things that other people have that, like, I don't know how to explain it. Just because a person has a blue Lamborghini and you always wanted a blue Lamborghini, it's like, why can't your, I don't know, 2012 silver Corolla be just as great because it's yours and it's like trusty, you know? I don't know. Maybe it's super economical and that's great. And it just, I don't know how to explain it to you guys, but hopefully it like makes you feel better, okay? I don't know. Maybe you wouldn't feel that way about it, but okay. Group 3, Spirit saying that's everything that I have for you guys. So I don't know. Hopefully this was actually helpful to you. I don't know. But yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I'll see you guys in another reading. Take care.